Hello, good afternoon, and this video is going to be talking about container gardening on a budget, and just wanted to share some of my tips that have helped me regarding my budget and being able to container garden. So the first thing you need obviously are containers, and so far I've only bought one container. All the other containers are either from around the house, or I've even asked people, asked friends, and I've obtained many containers that way. And some of the, I want to share about some of the containers that I use around the house. For instance, when starting seeds, I'll use containers around the house like yogurt containers. And containers, many people I know, if you've ever, I'm sure there's been many articles on that, but you can use eggshells, the egg cartons. You can use that as a seed starter. Anything, something small that you have around the house, and you can, that's plastic maybe, and you can use that. Some of the containers. Oh, and too, I just wanted to. Sometimes you'll get containers when you buy maybe seedlings, or when you want to buy flowers, or and they come in a container. So I've gotten two of these just from buying. I bought flowers, and I bought marigolds, and I bought moss rose, and I got these containers. And so now I use them for something else. And then also for containers, you can also plastic containers, milk jugs. Well, actually no, I don't recommend milk jugs. I tried it, and for plastics, you want to stick with plastics that have a barcode or recycling code 1, 2, 4, and 5. And not all of those, even though they have the numbers, not all of them are good to work with. For example, the milk cartons, I think they were a number 1. But what I've noticed is that within, especially in this summer heat and being in the sun, the plastic gets really, really hard and brittle. And so then it starts to totally break apart after the most it'll last is for 1 year. Some of the other containers, I've used, let me grab this. I've used soda bottles. Here I have this soda bottle. I cut the top off, and there's another video, if you look at my videos I made, where I talk about making a self-watering container out of these 2-liter soda bottles. And this one I have growing in here cilantro. So I use these for containers. And containers like this, I've seen in another video of this person in, I think it was the Philippines, and they have all their stuff that they're growing is all in these containers. They cut them out, so they have them like this. They cut them out a certain way. They just cut along down here, and they put it in the soil, and they use that to grow. Obviously you can grow it this way if you want to cut off the top and grow it that way. So it all depends on how you want to do it. But this is a container that's what does it say on the bottom? It says a 1. So this is, I think I've noticed that something like this and the soda bottles, they last a good while, because so far I've grown stuff in the soda bottles for several years now, and it hasn't really degraded or anything like that. So you just have to try it out. Try some of these bottles. Definitely stay away from the water jugs, the milk jugs, those kind of containers, because they will not last and everything will just fall apart. And let me see. And also, regarding containers, you could try to get them cheaply. Obviously the best way is to get them for free. But I've done a search on Amazon, and I haven't ordered them yet, but I'm going to, and I'm going to get what they call the fabric pots, and it's they're like soft-sided, and they're breathable and supposed to help with what they call air pruning. So I'm sure you can find out all you can about air pruning. Just search it on YouTube, and you'll find out all sorts of different videos that talk about that. And I want to try that out and see how that goes. And that I found on Amazon. There's a pack of 25 of the 1-gallon pots for $25, and then plus with Amazon you got free shipping. And what I want to get, actually the one that I want to get is I think it was a 6-pack, and it comes with 3 different sizes: 2 of the 3-gallon, 2 of the 5-gallon, and then 2 of the 7-gallon. And I'll be doing a video on that as soon as I get that. And then, so that's definitely one way if you don't mind spending some money. And that to me, I think 25 pots, especially the 1 gallon, if you don't need a really large size, and if you're just doing small plants and things like that, that's a pretty good deal, because then that comes out to about $1 a bag. And obviously for me it would cost a bit more, because living here in the Bahamas, I would have to also have to pay for, I use a service here in the Bahamas that's like a package forwarding company, and they provide you with a US address. I have it sent from Amazon or wherever I order from. I have them send it to that US address, and then the company then brings it from the US and brings it here to the Bahamas, and then we have to pay customs, and then plus we got to pay the company who brings it here. So that'll add on to my cost, but it's still a pretty good deal, I'd say. And now moving on, let's see. Another way to save money when you're on a budget is to buy seeds instead of buying plant starts. Instead of going to the nursery and buying all the plants that are a good size, you want to just use seeds, because you can get many seeds for like $2. My favorite place to get seeds are from, the name is called seedsnow.com. I'll put a link. And they have these sample size packets for $1, and some of them are $2 each. And you can get, they range from, depending on what it is that you order, range from 20 seeds to about 100 or more than 100 seeds in that sample pack. And so that's a great way to get lots, basically, because then obviously the seeds turn into plants, and you'll get a lot more plants for the same amount of money that you would get from just buying one plant starter. So that's another way to save money. And then also, then for the plants that you want, you want to check and see if you can get cuttings, if they can grow from cuttings. For example, rosemary. Right here, I have rosemary, and this too. That's another way to get plants. Really, and if you don't, besides getting seeds or getting the plant starters, you can also find out from your friends if they have any that they don't want, or if they have certain plants that you can get from cuttings. And this one actually was just given, the whole plant with the pot and everything was just given to me by a friend. And but the rosemary, I'm going to be making some cuttings and giving them out to my friends. Rosemary, things like rosemary, thyme. This one I actually bought from the store, and it wasn't completely dried out, so I stuck it in the pot, and it's growing now. This, if you can tell, this has grown, what is that, about maybe an inch since I got it from the store and I planted it in this pot. And so things like that you can easily, you can get a lot easily and more cheaply. There's certain things that you can grow right from the stuff that you buy from the store, like green onions. I didn't have to buy seeds or plant starts. I just bought the green onions, used them, cut the ends off, and I planted the ends. And now I have like several pots of green onions. So find out whatever it is that you like to grow. Find out if you can grow them from a cutting, and find out if you can get a cutting from a friend, or if it's something that you can actually normally get from the grocery store, then you can grow it from that. For example, I know many people who want lemongrass, or as they call it here, fever grass. You can, not here, but in the States, you can usually get that at Asian markets, the lemongrass. And so that's one way that many people say that you can grow your own lemongrass, is by going to a market and buying the lemongrass and then cutting off the ends and using that, putting it in a pot, and you'll have your own lemongrass that way. So it's either getting them from a friend, or find if you can buy them at a store and grow it that way. Then, let's see, and then one last tip is making your own compost. Instead of constantly buying fertilizer, although for me personally, I still have to buy fertilizer because I don't really have the space here, and the means to be able to make a whole bunch of compost in order to feed all the plants that I've got growing here, and so I still need to buy plant food and fertilizer. But compost is definitely one way you can at least help supplement your fertilizing. And the same thing with growing in your plants is using any sort of container as a compost bin, so to speak. And right now I have I'm using actually some extra pots that I have that I don't really have anything growing in it right now, and I'm using that as a compost bucket. And I've even seen some people suggest that you can use a cardboard box as a container for compost. And if you don't mind the way it looks, basically how that would look in your garden, having these cardboard boxes sitting around your yard, then I say go for it. You know, obviously the box itself will also compost within time, but before it actually completely breaks down, that's a great way to hold your compost, and you can dump all sorts of stuff, your food scraps and whatnot in there to decompose and become plant food. So, and it's the same thing you can use for that. I'll actually use the water jugs, or the milk jugs, and even though it won't last very long, I'll use those containers for compost. You know, obviously it's small, but for me it works for me, because I don't really want to kind of, you know, clutter up the yard with all, you know, with these big containers. And you know, maybe people will actually use Rubbermaid bins, big Rubbermaid bins, and there's many videos on using that for composting. And there's just one video, I can't remember the name of the channel, but I'll link it up, the video, where they talk about what they call composting in place. And they use all sorts of big plastic bins, and they do composting in there, and they actually grow right in that same bin. After some time, they'll actually just start planting or let volunteer plants grow in it, and that's how they do their garden, or part of it anyway. So that's just some of my tips I have, and if you have any that you would suggest, I'd love to hear them. Send a comment and let me know, and I really hope that helps you a lot. All right, and I hope you enjoyed it. Give this video a like, and if you'd like to see more, please subscribe. All right, thanks for watching. Bye bye.